The supply of oil continues to be a major global concern. Iran is tightly controlling access to the Strait of Hormuz, a crucial global shipping route. Today, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth brushed aside any fears that the closure would remain a long-term problem for the United States and the global economy.
As the world is seeing, they are exercising sheer desperation in the Straits of Hormuz. It's something we're dealing with. We have been dealing with it, and don't need to worry about it. We're on plan to defeat, destroy, disable all of their meaningful military capabilities at a pace the world has never seen before.
Iran has warned it will continue to block oil exports through the strait while it remains in war. The UN says more than 150 ships pass through the strait every day back in February, but now hundreds of vessels have been stranded in the Persian Gulf for almost 2 weeks. That's according to the International Maritime Organization. As the Strait of Hormuz remains closed and countries grapple with skyrocketing prices, a shadow has been cast around the upcoming CUSMA review and trade talks. Could the impacts of the war offer Canada leverage in negotiations? I want to talk a little more about that with Mark Warner. He's a Canadian and American international trade lawyer. Mark, it's good to have you on the program. Thanks for your time.
Nice to talk to you.
So the CUSMA review is, right around the corner. With this conflict going on right now, the long-term closure, it does feel like it is a closure of the Strait of Hormuz. What might that mean for the talks, do you think?
I don't think it necessarily means a lot right now, because it seems to me that Mr. Trump is focused more on the European allies. Britain, in his mind, hasn't come alongside the United States in the way that it usually does with wars, in war situations. Or Spain, that I think denied access, the use of the joint bases they have in Spain. So those are the two European countries he's targeted so far. I really don't think he's come after Canada, so I don't think that'll affect the negotiation posture. I think where I think this might come out is if at some point we get into a situation where Trump asks allies to help get the ships through, escort the ships through, the tankers through the Strait of Hormuz, and then Canada were to refuse, along with other European allies, I think that could cause some problems, perhaps.
Right. And do you think potentially the fact that there's, Canada has a vested interest in ongoing talks, there'd be a connection made?
I think so. If it could be, if he's a very irascible kind of guy, I think we all know that. He's erratic. And I think that if there's a sense that allies refuse to help out in that kind of situation, then that we might see a response. I don't think that'll end the CUSMA talks. Let me be clear about that. I just think that would be a flashpoint. There'll be some stomping of the feet, and maybe some stopping of the negotiations for a while. I don't think that's going to be. I don't think the fate of CUSMA turns on any of that. I just think that would be the kind of thing that could be a spark point if it were to happen. And it's not clear what Canada might be asked to do, or what we could even do if we were asked. But yeah.
Given that oil is such a key part of this conflict and the lack of access to it, the fact that Canada, has oil, is there any chance that's some kind of a leverage point for Canada?
There's always the question of the short term and the medium term and the long term. So in the short term, we don't have much ability, I think, to meaningfully expand our output and to get it to the places it has to go. So I don't know that could be a short-term leverage point. I suppose I don't have any doubt that the Canadian government folks will, sitting around the table, say, that's why you need to be more reliant on us, and we can do this and that. So please get rid of all those aluminum tariffs and national security tariffs on steel and autos and automobiles. I just don't think that those arguments are going to land very well with the Trump administration, because from their point of view, Canada doesn't have a meaningful opportunity to expand that quickly. And Americans are also aware of how difficult it is for us to build infrastructure and get the oil going and the pipelines going. So I think they'll be looking a little bit askance at any those sort of claims. But there's no question that that's the kind of leverage claim that the Canadian negotiators will be trying to use.
Is there anything to this, or is it just naive to think that maybe the U.S. economy, suffering potentially from trade issues, the tariffs around the world, particularly maybe potentially with Canada, that might play into a willingness on the part of the U.S. to want to keep CUSMA to keep the trade agreement going?
Well, I think there's two different things. There's Trump, and he's the person we have to convince, or it all sort of sits with him at this point. I think that's the better view. I mean, do I see a scenario where Congress might take control of the trade powers? I think that's pie in the sky dreaming. If it were the case that the House and the Senate were turned over to Democrats and within a margin that was enough to withstand a presidential veto, which would be, I don't think anybody's predicting anything like that, then I suppose that would be the case. But the first hurdle to that is historically the Democrats are more protectionist than the Republicans. It's just in this particular case, you've got a former Democrat as president who's also very protectionist and has brought the Republicans along with him. So I just don't know. I don't think the Americans will be looking to rip up CUSMA, but I don't think we're going to see. I don't think we're going to see Trump basically say, "Aha, Uncle, you win Canada. You get to keep CUSMA on your terms, and I will remove all my tariffs." That's not going to happen.
Okay. Mark, on that, I have to wrap. That's Mark Warner. He's a Canadian and American international trade lawyer. Thanks for your time.
Nice talking to you.